that, then let me turn to the state for your closing argument, or your first closing.
Thank you, Judge. Normally I would say thank you to the jurors for sitting through this trial, and I will thank you too for sitting through this trial and for listening to everybody. We started our case with 4 people who don't live here predominantly, who kind of travel back and forth, have 2 residents, maybe now established residents in Florida, but regardless, people who did not know these people. And they were on a boat where a victim, a person that they did not know, a young female, swam up to them. They had never seen her before, they had never talked to her before, and she's asking for some help because she's having a hard time swimming. And these 4 people gave slight inconsistencies on certain things, but agreed on others. And you heard from Matt Paris, who said he was in the water. You heard that he's talking to her for about a few seconds. She's trying to hold on to his raft. He's kind of like, just literally touch the boat, it's right there. And so he is saying that the boat is right there to where he is in relation to the water. He drew the graph, that states 1. And at that point, out of nowhere, this man comes up, who they also don't know, who they've also never interacted with. And this boat did not see them throughout the day as much. And yes, he had seen the female in the red bathing suit because she was over there in another boat. He was not lusting after this woman. He was not sitting there. He made a casual joke in a deposition. Maybe it was in bad taste. He made it, and it was not about his wife seeing or anything like that. It was just, he saw her, he noticed her. She's a beautiful woman. She's wearing a red-orange bathing suit. She is noticeable. And so this man comes up out of nowhere and pushes her under the water. He doesn't say that it's with 1 hand, he says it's with 2. He says he wants to believe the best in people. He's a middle school teacher. And he says that he gives it a few seconds, that he's waiting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10 to 15 seconds that they agree, past 5, that she's under the water. And he has to intervene at that point. The other people on the boat start yelling at him, you have to do something. He reacts and pulls her out from under, and he says that she is fighting him when she gets into his hands, his possession, that she's fighting him off. Because she still thinks that she's being submerged by her boyfriend. You heard from Rachel Tarapchik. Rachel says that she threw the victim a little floated because she was looking like she was having a hard time swimming. That Matt was in the water. That his actions of the defendant looked deliberate. That there was no situation where he was using her as a life raft. Alexander agreed with those testimonies and then said he had to threaten him with a boat hook because after taking her away, it looked like he was going back to grab her. So he threatened him with a boat hook. This is a man who has a very nice boat. He has an affluent boat. He looks like he's coming from money too, and he's getting involved in something he didn't ask for and having to use a boat hook to do so because he doesn't know what's about to happen. He doesn't know who these people are to each other. And the one thing that they all agree on, all 4 of these people on this boat, is that when he is confronted with this boat hook and he is told to get away from her, he says, that's my girl. And then when he's told, I don't care who she is to you, you can't do this to her. Silence. Silence. He had enough wherewithal to say, that's my girl, but he didn't have enough wherewithal to say, no, that's not what happened. He's the only one who says, I was having a hard time swimming, and then that's what he said. Mr. Goldberg is the only one who said that. Nobody else said that. They all agree that the victim went under. So we go to the next vote, and Lloyd Whiting, he says that he saw that they had been getting into a little back and forth all day, that they had been arguing. He says that the victim and the defendant swim past his boat. And he says it distinctively because he says, she didn't stop at our boat, she kept going. It's a boat of 6 guys versus a boat with older people. What looked safer? She literally swims by a whole boat and keeps going. But what is important to understand and to remember is that so does Mr. Goldberg. So is the boat at this point not 25? Is that not at the breaking point? Does he just suddenly overcome with tiredness? Does he suddenly just stop and can't go on, except he does go on? He does go another 25 yards? Because if you're experiencing this panic, you're not gonna look around and see where can I hold on to, because you're not in the stage 1 yet. If we're going by Dr. Leatherman's assessment, you're in that pre-stage. And that pre-stage, you can still think. So he swims by that boat, and that's what you also hear from Mr. Whiting. The things that defendant says that no one agrees with are that they weren't fighting that day, that they weren't arguing that day. He insists that they weren't arguing. He keeps diminishing and downplaying their arguments that they apparently have all the time. And it makes you wonder, which one is it? Is she so jealous and out of control? Is she just such an unreasonable, illogical woman that she can't simply bear to be anywhere near him with other females? And it's just ridiculous how she is. Or is it that they never argue at all? How is that possible? It's just not. It doesn't make sense. The other thing that he testified to, that the victim wasn't upset, except then she's now upset because he didn't stand up for her. But then we start parsing our words, and it was interesting that every time that the defense witnesses, including the defendant, were confronted with statements that they made. Oh, I didn't want to parse. I'm not getting into the detail. I wasn't parsing words. What do you mean you're not parsing words? Those are literal opposite words. Those are not words that you're just being general and you don't get into specifics. You literally said Cole was upset. And then now you're saying, no, he wasn't. You're literally saying Cole was arguing with the guy that smacked his girlfriend's butt, which makes perfect sense to most people. And now it's, no, they were having a conversation. The two words argument and conversation, they're not used in the same sense. They're just not. They're not interchangeable. Neither is upset and not upset. Completely unbothered was what they wanted you to believe today. Except that they didn't say that day. Anthony Nemo did not say that day. Cole Goldberg did not say that day. This was about respect. He said that. My relationship. Respect me. Because she's mine. That's how he said that to the police. And then now all of a sudden it's, I'm not mad. The only person that said that Cole Goldberg grabbed onto the Terepchek's boat after the victim went under is Cole Goldberg. He is the only one who said he held onto the platform, he got a minute, he really took a second, took some deep breaths, and then miraculous recovery and swim to Captain Judy's boat. The only one who said that. Nobody else said that. Things that don't make sense. The defendant not calling anybody for a ride when he was getting kicked off Doopy's boat, when he had already done that once before that day. He literally did that. He took his phone, he called somebody, they came with paddleboards. He didn't even try. You didn't hear him say, I did try, and I didn't know anybody else that was there. I called a few people, they all left. I looked around. I know everybody, it seems like everybody knows everybody, but no longer. We don't know anybody anymore. Can't ask anybody. FWC apparently gives rides to the shore. Mr. Goldberg said that. He said previous Boca Bashes, he himself has gotten rides to the shore by FWC. No call to FWC is made. 911, none. He didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't DUI. He wasn't driving a boat. So what would have been the problem with calling the police and asking for the ride that apparently he's received before? Not asking the boat that he's sitting in that he just magically, oh, we found 2 more life jackets. And it's, you guys can ride. You have 30 seconds to get to her. Oh, hey, can I just take one of the life jackets really quick? I'll be right back. I'm just a little tired and I've had a bit to drink. Is it okay if I take one of the life jackets? And by the way, my girlfriend has been going drink for drink with me. She weighs 70 pounds less than I do. So maybe the life jacket for her too. Thanks. Doesn't do that. Doesn't call the police after he's been allegedly assaulted. He was assaulted with a boat hook for literally no reason, according to him. Didn't call anybody. Actually, in fact, he goes back. Goes back to where he was supposed to be assaulted at. The guy still had the boat hook. You didn't hear anybody say that he threw it into the ocean, just let it go. So he's going back to where there's a weapon that has already been brandished against him. And that's just because he simply can't leave his girlfriend there. Not telling the police what just happened. Any of it. Making an assumption, that's what we have to believe. Making an assumption, oh, that's why they don't want me on the boat because there's too many guys. What? They're like 40-year-old women. His girlfriend. What kind of boat is this? There's another young guy, okay. What are we trying to say here? Why would they not let him on the boat because there's too many guys? That makes literally no sense, but that's what he tells, that's the first thing he tells the police. I was assaulted by a boat hook. I'm just trying to get to shore. My girlfriend and I didn't have a ride. Yeah, he tells them that he didn't have a ride. Doesn't tell them about the boat hook. Doesn't tell them about the fact that he's just been accused of drowning. And he does know. He does know that he was accused of drowning her. He knows that. Because if you want to believe his story, let's go all the way, right? Let's go the whole way. If you want to believe that he did this in response to having a drowning episode, then you also have to believe that he had the wherewithal, seconds, 1 to 2 seconds of holding her, he's able to gain enough wherewithal to then respond, I was having a hard time swimming. What is he saying that in response to? Counsel, 2 minutes. So, doesn't tell the police what happened. He doesn't get there until he gets to the point where he is confronted with the direct fact of, did you ever grab her? And now he oh, I can't swim. I was having a hard time. I was having a hard time swimming. Said it a few times, though, that they didn't let him on the boat because he was the only guy. A few times, and he agreed with that. The victim swam more than he did, and he drank just as much as she did. But he's the one that's having the drowning episode. The guy who has grown up around Lake Boca. The guy who has grown up in an affluent, because defense has gone to great lengths to say, this is an affluent neighborhood. Okay, great. There's a pool in the country club. There's a pool in his house. His friends have boats. His family used to have a boat. They used to go out. He's been at Boca Bash at least 10 times. He's been in sticky situations in Boca Bash because he's had FWC drive him to the shore or to the dock. And this is the person we have to believe did have a hard time swimming. This is the person we have to believe had the wherewithal to know north, south, east, west, could basically draw us a diagram of the entirety of Lake Boca, give us the currents and the channels and everything under the sun, but he drank too much that day. So which one is it? His memory is perfect and crystal clear, but he forgot some things. His memory is perfect and crystal clear, but he drank too much and he couldn't swim. It doesn't make sense. And looping all that in to motive, because who has motive here? You can argue, yes, of course, Caroline Schwitzsky has motive, and I'm sure that the entirety of closing would once again be a character assassination of Caroline Schwitzsky, as was the opening. But unfortunately for them, they cannot say that the 4 people on Sarachek's boat and the 2 people on the other boat had any motive for the outcome of this case. If they had any motive at all, what had they gained from this other than dragging them along for this entire pendency of this case? Nothing. They have had nothing to gain. Maybe, yeah, Caroline Schwitzsky has something to gain. Sure, you can make that argument. She's civilly lawsuit. She is a victim of a crime. Maybe she's exploiting that to her benefit. But you know who else has something to gain? Cole Goldberg. Cole Goldberg has something to gain. Cole Goldberg wants to be an attorney. Cole Goldberg said this derailed his plans for law school. Cole Goldberg is the one that has the most to lose in this case, and the most to gain in this case. And so these 6 people that testified for this court, I'm racking my brain to find out what that motive is. What on earth compels 6 people to come in and say something if it didn't happen that way? What gives them the motivation to cook up a story like this? If it was just a misunderstanding, why would they double down on things? Why would they say, no, that's not true, that's not what happened?
Council time.
I'll be back for the rebuttal.